Guys, happy Tuesday. I'm just going to talk for a second while this loads and does its thing. As you can tell, I don't have like the tropical wallpaper behind me today. I am working from home. It's a whole long story. The short version being I'm an old person who had a hip problem and I had a chiropractor appointment. That's the story. Anyways, so I want to talk to you today about empathy, why it matters in your marketing, how other big companies use it effectively, yeah, hi Saint, how are you? Um, and how to put it in easy ways, in like bigger ways, things of that nature. So, once again, I see a lot of bookkeepers making the mistake of staying very cerebral, very practical, which makes perfect sense. You guys are very detail oriented. You're the ones who make sure everything fits together, all the boxes are checked, and that's great. Hi Lisa, good morning. Um, but if you stay in that cerebral practical space, you're missing out on something big. And I'll go into why it matters and how other companies have used it. So, for example, it's not just about posting just cerebral content, right? For example, I had a phone call with a schedule with the bookkeeper last week. She had 10K likes on her business page with this much engagement. Big ol' zero, zero, no likes, no comments. All she was posting was occasional business tips. Hi Karen, good morning. It was just occasional business tips, some details about the services she provided, posted over and over again, and that was it. 10,000 followers, you think that would, make everything else not matter. But it's not. She was missing this personal element, this empathy. Empathy is really important. Anyways, I'm going to do a quick plug for you guys right now. I have an About Me mini course coming up here by the end of the month. That's why I've been a little more quiet on social media. I've been hunkered down putting that together for you guys. And it'll help you write your About Me page on your website, repurpose it for your social media. I'm really excited about that. It's coming together really nicely. And then also, as you guys know, I've moved into the more of an official content strategy role. So if you guys want to schedule a call to review your social media content, review what you're writing to market your business, try and figure out what's working, what isn't, how to make it better, reach out to me, we'll schedule a call, and we'll help get things moving. All right, so empathy. First thing we want to cover is what it's not. Empathy is not sympathy. So I know it's weird and it's a fine line. It's just not the same thing. So sympathy is a third person emotional response. It's pity, but it's pity from like over here, okay? You're over here feeling sympathetic. And even though you may be the nurse that goes to Haiti to like help with the earthquake, you still don't know what it's like to like, it's different than empathizing with someone who's lost their house. You care and you're helping them, but it's different. So empathy is more knowing how it feels, getting into the feeling of what is it like to live through an earthquake? What is it like to lose your house? What is it like to go through that unrest? It's different. Once again, from the Greek, it's empathos, literally in feeling. So it's inside the feeling, not just of yourself, it's inside the feelings of another person, if you think about it that way. Empathos, in the feelings. There are two parts of it though. So with empathy, there's an intellectual part and a vicarious part, okay? So the first part of empathy is intellectual identification. It's with the feelings, thoughts, or attitudes of someone else. It's being able to say, essentially, in different ways, I see you, I know it's difficult when, it's so frustrating when. It's being able to accurately pinpoint, I see that this is a problem for you, and saying it. Another part of it though is this, so there's the intellectual part of empathy. I see it, I understand it. But number two, it's the vicarious experiencing, the in emotion, right? Sorry, I'm referring to my notes to make sure I give you all the good stuff. It's about entering the conversation that is already going on in a person's heart. So vicarious, like, something that you get in their shoes, you understand, you're looking through their eyes and hearing what they see and feeling what they feel. It's a vicarious experience. So not only do you intellectually identify with it, you sit down and take a moment to think, what would it feel like to be going through what you're going through, to have this challenge, to have this win, stuff like that. So that's what empathy is, and I'll get more into how companies use it, why it matters. Bottom line, empathy and emotion in your messaging sells. That's not a new message at all. But because it works, it's an important thing for you to have in your messaging. Once again, like I said, I came across someone, she had 10,000 followers, but no engagement. No people commenting, liking, sharing, reaching out to her at all, because she doesn't have this part. She doesn't have the emotion or the empathy in her messaging. It's an important part to how you connect with and make new clients, right? Once again, sales, people buy with their emotions, not their intellect. They first make a purchase with their emotions. They want this, they feel this, and then they back it up with their head, okay? So once again, this is why having this empathy and emotion level to your messaging is important. So for example, I had a different client recently. She admitted that she'd just seen my prices first. I don't have them listed on my website. She wouldn't have scheduled a call with me. She would have seen it and not signed up. She would have been like, that's not something I want to pay for. But she and I got in the call. I asked her questions. I got to know her. I empathized with her. I figured out where she is in life. What does she need? What are her goals? What is she struggling with in her business? What's her next growth step? And because of that, she felt much more comfortable signing up with me, and we're working on a project for her right now. We're actually working on her website content, which I'm super excited about. But that's what I'm saying. There's an emotional connection that's important. Now, let me always be clear, this is not a plug for emotional manipulation. Nope. This is how to communicate more effectively. You have something good that you want to help the world with, right? But in order to help more people, you have to communicate effectively enough that they will know to work with you, how you can help you, and want to work with you, right? So this is a plug for making your communication more effective, not manipulative, okay? So here's why, other parts of why it matters. Like I said, emotion and empathy is a very important part of your messaging. That's not a new thing. So for example, gigantic companies use it. Do you remember that Thank You Mom commercial during the Olympics? It's just like, that was emotional, and it was like remember, empathic in the emotions of the mothers that put their kids through the Olympics, and it was emotional. We loved it. Volkswagen Smile commercial. Think of any Coke commercial you've ever seen. I mean, it's funny, now think about it. It's just like Coke isn't focusing on like, we are selling you a beverage for your hydration and caffeine. They're not focusing on that. It's just like the Coke bottle is there on summer days when everybody's happy and laughing. It's different because that's what people bring Coke to. People bring Coke to parties. People, drink it on a hot summer day, things of that nature. It's more indirect selling. It's more emotional. So huge companies use it. And I love this quote by the Google's VP of global marketing. He said, "If we don't make you cry, we fail." It's getting that emotional connection is an important part of your messaging. So if you guys I also talk about Donald Miller's book, how to oh my God, building your story brand. I'm blanking on the name now. It's part of his framework. You as the selling your services, you're the guide to the person who's trying to succeed. And the two things you demonstrate as the guide are empathy and authority. So it's built right into this like really trusted marketing framework that you need to show empathy. You need to get into their emotions, into your client's shoes. Once again, it works. There's research showing that this stuff works. So one analysis of 880 marketing campaigns, they found that on average, emotional campaigns outsell informational ones by 19%. So it bumps you from 1 in 5 to 2 to 5, 2 out of 5. It brings up the success level. It gives this empathy. We like empathy. We respond to empathy. Also, another campaign examined the profitability of 1,400 campaigns, and they found that purely emotional communications performed twice as well as purely informational communications. So once again, you want to have that balance, but emotion is powerful. Empathy is powerful. And like I said, Google's VP still cracks me up. If we don't make you cry, we fail. And here's the thing. There's a neuroscience behind it, and I'll get into that a little bit. They don't know all the details of why it works, but here's the thing. While the science of empathy, this is from an article I found, while the science of empathy is still in its infancy, we know that the brands that employ empathy to drive creativity, more emotionally resonant content, they're rewarded warmly at the checkout. So they're still figuring out the details of the why it works, but here's the thing, they know that it does work. So it's important to have it. There's also these things in your brain called mirror neurons. It's the part of your human mind related to empathy. So once again, there is a neurology to it, and it works. The big guys are using it. It has a statistical effect, and we're wired to respond empathetically. Okay, so we know that empathy is important, but it kind of comes back to that question of how do I empathize with my clients? How do I get into the feelings of my clients, right? And this goes into a type of persona building, you know, ideal client avatar, things of that nature. You're trying to figure out this empathetic aspect, this emotional aspect of your client. That way you can talk to them in this way, connect to them in this way. A really good sentence to start with is, our users, like what, you know, your clients, whatever, our clients need a better way to fill in the blank because fill in the blank. You know, for my work, it's just like my customers need a better way to post effectively on social media because they don't have the time and they don't like to do it, things of that nature. Or they need clients and they know they're available but don't know how to get to them on their own, things of that nature. As a bookkeeper, it's just like our users need a better way to manage their finances because they want their businesses to be safe and grow, or something like that, you know what I mean? So our users need a better way to blank because blank. That's a good starting sentence in order to get there. There's also this really interesting thing I came across recently. It's called empathy maps brainstorming. And I'm a very visual person, so I really like this. It's super easy. It just takes a whiteboard and some post-it notes, and I actually have a visual today. I'm very excited about this. Hopefully I can back up enough to get it on frame. All right. That's working. Okay, make sure I have it in frame. Here we go. All right, so as you can see, there's multiple parts to this thing. This is really good if you, like, I have a client, for example, who she has a hard time understanding why she would get hired. I'll put this back up in a second. Why she would get hired, why her clients struggle with the bookkeeping, the financial management. She's like, I'm so good at it, I just can't get in their head. This is a really good exercise to get into their head, and to help you figure out, oh, this is what's painful for them. Even though it's easy for me, it's painful for them. This is a really good way to help step out of your shoes and into theirs. Once again, it's a brainstorming exercise. And also, you may want to, like, you know, say your husband isn't very good with, bookkeeping stuff, doesn't understand it. Maybe ask him to help you with it, things of that nature. Or if you're in a company, talk to other people in the company. And it's just like, let's work on this together. So this is a good process to do one persona at a time. So I've mentioned this before. You probably have multiple personas that you're talking to in your business, multiple kinds of clients that come to you. So in my business, for example, the two main ones that I have that I would do two separate brainstormings for, one, young mothers, usually in their 30s, who are usually married and are bookkeepers at home, trying to grow their business that way earlier in their business trajectory as bookkeepers. My second client persona is older bookkeeper women. They more like in their late 40s or 50s, even 60s. They have an established practice, but they're not comfortable with social media. Once again, it's different personas, so I would do different. Each of these people would feel differently. I need to empathize differently with one versus the other. So you'd have to do different things, but it's important to just start with one and then go forward from there. So, for example, these are the categories. So you want to know what your client is thinking, what they're feeling, what are they saying and doing, so the stuff that they're putting out to the world, what are they seeing and hearing, like what's coming in, And then the pain and the gain I do like, and the easiest way to explain these, you know, with the gain, what wakes them up in the morning, and the pain, what keeps them up at night, all right? So it really is as simple as that when it comes to categories. And then you just take your little Post-it note here, and you write ideas. You throw them up there, and it's just like maybe they're, and I'll go into more of what you write in the Post-it notes and how you find information for that here in a second. But it's a really easy visual way for you to be reminded of this is how they think, this is their world, and so you can talk to them better. So here's some places you can get some info. My favorite place, for example, is I'm friends with my clients on social media, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Facebook, and people tend to share a lot of stuff on there. So I'm able to go and see what my customers are doing. It's just like, do they spend a lot of, you know, how old, you know, for example, how many kids do they have? What do they do with their kids? The customers that I have, you know, closer relationships with, we may have, you know, like I may know more details about them, you know, from direct messaging or from phone calls, things of that nature. And so you can learn stuff from your conversations with your clients and from their social media profiles. And again, I'm focusing on like if you're probably a solopreneur or like, you know, a very small business that's attainable. Like, you know, some of the stuff that I read was just like, when you have your focus group, okay, we don't have focus groups, that's fine. There's plenty of places you can get information. Social media is my favorite one. Because they're sharing their lives on there too. You can also reach out and ask interviews. Like for example, when I moved into this like more official content strategy position, I messaged some of my favorite clients and I'm just like, hey, what do you think about this? How can I help you? How would this apply to you? Because I wanted to know directly what they were thinking. And also, customers love that. You're reaching out and making sure that you're meeting their specific needs. So don't feel like that you can't do that with some of your clients, especially the ones you have a good relationship with. You're like, hey, I'm trying to make my messaging more effective so I can help more people like you. Can I ask you a couple questions to help me figure out what you're feeling and what you need better? Also use your testimonials. Go through those. What are they saying? How do, you know, does the phrase peace of mind come up a lot? Honestly, in testimonials, it's kind of funny. They actually say a lot of soft skills too, even for bookkeepers. She was funny. She had a sense of humor. She was kind. She was patient. Things of that nature. So pay attention to those things too in your testimonials. And then if you do use like pages on LinkedIn or Facebook, the pages will give you analytics, and you can kind of pull some information from there too. So from all of that, you can turn those into the Post-it notes on your little whiteboard, right? So here's some of the questions you can ask. And once again, you're just trying to figure out this information so you can empathize with them. Once again, I know it feels like this feels like a lot of work to write social media posts. Can't I just just put something up that's useful? Once again, I gave you that example in the beginning on purpose. This woman had 10,000 followers on her page. No one was commenting. No one was connecting with her. It's not about necessarily getting your numbers up. This does matter. It does have an effect. And this does pay off to basically set the foundation for your messaging. That way you have to think about it less. You're more on target more often. You're kind of like increasing your accuracy in this way. You're preparing beforehand, okay? But again, I know this feels like a lot. It's just like for a Facebook post. It matters, it pays off. Just hang with it and lay the groundwork. It pays off, I promise. So anyways, questions to ask. You can look up questions for this. You can kind of spitball as you go. Here's some examples if you need some. How do they think about their hopes and fears? What do they hear when other people use your product? So for example, I know there's some people interested like in my content, pre-written content services, but haven't signed up with me yet. So what are they hearing from other people who have signed up? And also those who have signed up, what are they saying to each other? What are they putting online? What do they say or feel when using your product, whether that's in private or in public? What are their pain points when using your product? What are you solving for them? What are you making easier? What frustration are you easing? Things of that nature. Also, what does a typical day look like in their world? For example, I have empty nesters and I have young parents. Those are very different days and schedules. You know, one is worried about juggling their at-home business with young children who are being homeschooled during, you know, COVID, or at least not all of them, but some of them. And then the other ones are empty nesters who already have established businesses and kids out of the house for the most part. See, so it's very different, the day-to-day life. So the moms probably need something that's more like quick, get it done. I want it something that, you know, I don't have the extra time to deal with that right now. But the messaging for someone who's more of an empty nester and may have more time, but maybe not as comfortable with social media stuff or no interest in getting good at that, they want to stay where they're really good in accounting. That's a different motivation. That's a different messaging. So typical day look like in their world. What do they hope to gain from using your product? So once again, you're asking questions kind of like how what you do comes into their world. What is their world like, and what does your service or product coming into the world do for them, right? Also, do they like patterns? So they like certain quotes, they like certain movies, they like whatever. That stuff can sometimes put off a light bulb. So once again, this is a brainstorming exercise. It's a really good way to keep in mind who they are, what they want, things of that nature. So here's some things to keep in mind. I don't want you to worry about doing this perfectly. So once again, I'm going to show you the chart in case it helps. You're trying to figure out where to put Post-it notes on this board. You're trying to figure out using, you know, their social media posts if you're friends with them, the testimonials that people have left for you. You want to know the stuff that they're thinking about. You know, what are they feeling? What are they seeing and hearing in their world? What are they saying and doing? You know, raising small kids versus not, for example. What's the pain? What keeps them up at night? And what's the gain? What are they waking up for in the morning? This is how you help get into their world. So this is a dynamic thing. It grows. You don't need to worry about this being completely perfect, and if you missed a detail here or there, then the whole messaging is ruined. No, this gets you closer. It's a scale, so don't worry about having to completely finish it, right? So it's dynamic. Keep it growing, keep it going. Especially as, you know, it's not uncommon as your business grows to kind of shift who your niche is that you're talking to, right? Another way this could help is maybe you know a lot of what they're saying and doing, but you don't really know what they're seeing and hearing. So you may have these holes where it's just like, you know, I could learn more about this particular category and get to know them better. So this is a really good part of this. It's just like you may be able to find a place where you can get more information to get more effective, right? And then also remember, database research matters. So make sure that you're pulling from actual people. Try not to guess as much as possible. Pull this information from what you know they're saying, from what they actually are posting, from people who have actually bought from you or you know have expressed interest in buying from you. This will make your messaging more effective. That's the point, right? Again, I know it feels like work, but this is foundational stuff. This is stuff that you pretty much take care of in bulk closer to the beginning, especially once you have a clearer idea of who's responding to your services and things like that. And then it's not as hard over time. So it's just kind of like you need to lay a groundwork first, and then it gets a little easier. So that's how you find the information. So here's how to use it and apply it. I'll give you some basic ways that you can do like in your social media, and then I'll give you a couple of like examples, again, bigger ones. So using and applying empathy. So you have all of this information on what they're seeing, hearing, thinking, feeling, saying, doing, pain, gain, all of those things. You have all this chart. So you want to inject that into your messages. You want to empathize with your clients. So one of the very basic ways, even if you don't have anything written on this chart, honestly, is to show your face. I have been on so many bookkeeping websites where there's no face shown ever, but people respond to faces. It's in website designs. They even use the direction your eyeballs are pointing to point towards, like, you know, call to action buttons. It's crazy how much we're wired for human face, and it really helps us to interact with a company or a brand if we can see the face of who we're working with. We like working with people. So in your lives, in your images, share your face. That's a really easy, not even research thing you can do. Another good thing to go into is think of the oughts and the shoulds, almost like this the moral thing. The best example I have for bookkeepers or accountants when talking to your clients is you should not have to have an accounting degree to run your business. That's an empathy thing. It's just like you're acknowledging that they feel frustrated, that they feel like they have to have that, and you're saying, yeah, you shouldn't have to have one to run your business. So so think of phrases with ought and should or shouldn't or ought not. Ought. It's a weird word, anyways. And also something else that I picked up from, I don't know if you guys follow Ryan Downey. She has this great sales program. I did a sales boot camp with her, and she gave this script template that's specific. It's very short, but when you're responding to comments in groups or sending direct messages, use the person's name. Once again, you're identifying with them as a person, and you acknowledge their problem or question. Remember how there's two parts of empathy, the vicarious experience and the intellectual admission. So use that intellectual part. Acknowledge the problem. If someone posts in a group about how, I don't know how to file my taxes for my business, it's just like, I know it's really complicated trying to figure out taxes if you don't have an accounting background. And then use a sentence to talk about your background, offer some insight, and ask them a question. So that's the script, but once again, when you're trying to build relationships through social media this way, you have to add that empathy part. And it could just be as simple as saying, I know, it's frustrating, I know, it sucks, I know, it fill in the blank. You know what I mean? So you are showing that you are listening to them and that you know that this is a problem. So those are simple ways to do it. So another thing that you can do is like positive emotion association. Once again, this is something that I think about mostly with Coca-Cola. So if you can find ways to basically show your clients, help them visualize, help them imagine how much better their lives would be if you solved the problem they were feeling, if they got to this next place, if you're able to help them visualize that, it's a really good thing. You want them to think about their success and associate you with that success. Coca-Cola, remember, is not showing someone just quenching their thirst. They're associating people with the positive emotions, in summertime, on a hot summer day, a cold drink, hanging out with friends, being at the beach. And in wintertime, it's like, it's other positive stuff. It's nostalgic, it's Santa Claus, it's polar bears, super cute polar bears. They're associating their product with like positive emotions. So sometimes you can be like indirect. But once again, you have to kind of help them understand sometimes. It's just like, it's your responsibility as you're marketing your business, because unless you have someone hired to do it, you are your own marketer. That's just the story. Sometimes you have to help them understand how what you do can make their lives better. It's not up to them. If you're expecting them to assume, they won't buy from you. You kind of have to help them understand this is how this will help you. So when you show them, tell them how much better their life can be, how much easier their business can be, what life would look like if this problem was solved, things of that nature, it's good. It's empathy. It's positive emotion. And then cognitive empathy. This is a good one. So this is something, so I told you I have that content membership, and there was a post that I have in there that did surprisingly well. And I actually wrote the post from the position of a small business owner who's falling behind on taxes and getting bank fees from paying things too slow and falling further behind on her books. And I heard this really great response from the bookkeepers who are a part of that membership and used that. They got a lot of responses, and now looking back, I realize it was cognitive empathy. That's just the fancy way for saying walking in someone else's shoes. So I wrote this post about a small business owner and the pains they go through their eyes, without having bookkeeping in place. So for example, there's a famous video, it has like 16 million views, I don't know, something crazy. It's called the It's Time video. This is something I came across while researching for this. It's an Australian video, and It's a first-person video, and all you see is the person behind the camera growing in a relationship with this really cute boy. They go on a first date, they go to the beach with friends, they go through family stuff together there, and then like at the end of the commercial it shows this cute boy kneeling down with a ring after this whole story of them building a relationship together, and then the camera pans back and it turns out that the person was another boy, and it was a really good example of that cognitive empathy. And the message of the video was, don't discriminate against homosexual marriage. But it was beautifully done because you saw through their eyes that it wasn't different than any other relationship. It was this perfect way of getting yourself into this other person's shoes. So once again, try and get into their shoes is really helpful. This exercise will get you a long way into that. So yeah, once again, take some time, get to know your client, empathize with them, let them know that you understand them, not just through your product is a good way, but if you can pick up on the other small things and empathize with them, as a mother or as an empty nester or stuff of that nature. It's just like figure out who they are, where they're at, what their life is like, and then connect with them on that emotional, empathetic level. It will make it'll make your messaging more effective. And if you do end up having 10,000 followers on your page, you'll get a much higher response rate. So one addendum to that is that person used one of the posts that I wrote for her, or that I wrote through the membership. She used it in a group and she got 600 comments. Because the content is meant to be engaging, empathetic, showing authority, all of these important things about your content. So this stuff does matter, it does work, even though it takes a little bit of time to lay that groundwork of knowing who your customer is. But this is how you make a better difference and grow your business. So, all right. That's what I've got today regarding empathy. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment, shoot me something, direct message or whatever. I always love to help people. I've also got my information like for my page and my group, and for the content membership if you want to learn more about that. Like always, there's a week's worth of free content. Like if you go to the link, you'll find a week's worth of content. You can use it, try it out, see if it works. Yeah, and just let me know if you need anything else. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a lovely Tuesday. Bye.